go.
Woo!
Sean always likes to start every episode. That's Sean Patton, everybody. He likes to start every episode with a sound. Sometimes it's a splashing into a pool sound effect. Sometimes a little baby wolf howl. What was that one?
That was someone. That was someone being shot out of a catapult.
What was the?
That was them plopping on the land. Many, many feet away, hundreds of feet away. Are they dead? Are they alive? Let's find out. You all right? They're fine. They're a little. They got the wind knocked out of them. They smacked into the earth, but they're fine.
I like it. Well, so Sean likes to start every episode with a sound effect, and every episode of this podcast that you're listening to, which is 5 words.
Right, and Caitlin likes to then follow my sound effect with a description of who I am and what I'm doing.
Well, I do this every time you think that we're just going to have the same listeners all the time. And what if there's someone new joining because their New Year's resolution was to listen to more podcasts? They don't know who we are or what we're doing here.
Right. Well, if you're listening to this one, this is episode 34.
Yeah.
There's 33 episodes before it. This is the 2019 wrap-up episode.
Yes.
And this week, we've got 2 guests, and seriously, like one of them, one of my favorite people, the other one can't stand them. But whatever.
I feel similarly, but it's more that one of them, my best friend in the whole wide world. Yeah. The other one, she okay. She fine.
Well, okay, one of our guests is Caitlin Cook.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, she's a singer-songwriter, has an EP called Zinger Songwriter, full of comedy songs. And she also co-hosts this great podcast called 5 Words. And she is awesome. She's very creative. She has a mind for the math. That's what I think. That's right, the mind for the math. And that doesn't always mean numbers. That just means the problems of a situation. She'll tackle them, and she'll get them done. And, she went to Oxford, and she has a lisp. It's pretty cool. And all around, just an Aries, total Aries. Adventurous, but hard-headed. Mm-hmm. And just really, creator of some great songs and some comedy and podcasts, and also a stunning visual artist. And I think it's great that we finally got her. No?
Well, you know what? That was a wonderful description, and I will take the one compliment that I've never received before.
What?
Good at math.
Well, no, mind for the math.
I know.
You're good at problem solving.
I am very analytical, but I am terrible at math. Right. Anyway, our other guest.
Bugs me, but whatever.
He's maybe the funniest person I've ever met in my entire life.
I mean, that's an overstatement.
And
the loudest person you've ever met.
He is one of the loudest people I've ever met, especially loud snorer. Very loud snorer.
I mean, that's probably not his fault. That's probably not like a choice he makes.
It's probably not, but it is annoying.
I'm sure. If you start pointing out, I may think this guy sucks, but if you start pointing out, a lot of people I think are great also are pretty annoying in certain ways.
That's true.
Snoring is just not really his fault.
Okay, all right. Well, you've put me in a tight spot here because you hate compliments, but then I don't want to shit all over you. So let me just shut up for a second. Let me introduce you.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So very, very funny comedian. He tours around at all the best clubs in the country. And, he does some really, really bad accents, but man, are they hilarious. It's the one and only Mr. Sean Patton.
I'll tell you what, I was biting my tongue off until that last part. And I was like, you're right, they are pretty bad.
Well, you got to find that level of self-deprecating and complimentary with you.
That guy is just a real fucking lunatic.
But you know what? It makes for a good episode.
It is. And, and also, I will say, check out his album, Scuttlebutt. On Helium Records.
It's a new album, and I was checking Spotify statistics today, and it is doing magnificently. So if you haven't followed it, for an album that's just been released,
Well, okay, now I'll stop talking in third person. Yeah, go check out my album. I'm excited about it. I love it.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of interesting feedback on it, all pretty good, even the bad. If you got something bad to say, go ahead, do it. I don't give a shit. But no, it's probably going to turn into something good to say because I think it's a good fucking album.
Yeah. You know what's cool? Actually, since it's come out.
I'm very happy with it. I'm fucking excited for you to hear it. I'm excited, listeners.
Yes, it's awesome. And I did the album artwork. And what's cool about it is that since it's come out, which it came out, December 7th?
Yeah.
Every
December 10th.
10th. Every place that we've been to on our tour so far, people have been like, oh man, are you going to do the album? Or like, oh man, like, are you selling the album? Like, people are aware and excited about it. Also, what's cool is for the past 3 or 4 shows, someone has come up to us and been like, hey man, big fan of the podcast.
Yeah, that's been exciting. That's been fun.
If you do come to one of our shows, tell us that you
Yeah.
listen to the podcast.
I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed meeting
It's
you.
exciting.
I've enjoyed meeting you. So come listen to it. And speaking of which, where are you going to be?
Where am I going to be? I actually don't think I have any shows coming up this week because I'm just flying back from New Orleans to New York and kind of getting into that new year feel and just hunkering down in New York and working on
What you got to do.
Yeah. What about you?
I will be January 3rd and 4th in Cleveland, Ohio at the one and only Hilarities Comedy Club. Buy tickets now because it's all right now. It's 1 show Friday, 1 show Saturday. I would like to add a second show on Friday and Saturday.
Ooh, do it.
But that's contingent upon ticket sales. So
Right.
get your tickets. Come to the show. It's myself and I believe Cleveland's own Ramon Rivas opening for me, which is a
nice.
tough act to follow. There, he's a funny guy.
Yeah, I love
but
Ramon.
yeah. So come out to the shows 3rd and 4th. My first time at Hilarities.
Oh.
I want to make a good impression.
Yeah. Do that. It's going to be super fun. And then
2020.
also, if you're one of those people that like hates wrap-up episodes, because like I kind of am actually. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't like some wrap-up episodes. What's cool about this one is we've actually decided to do a 5-word story each person. So it's not just us talking about like the podcast that you've already been listening to, if you have. It's us doing some stories that you've never heard before.
Boom.
So enjoy the episode.
And
happy 2020.
And this is a story, by the way, I have never told before, ever.
Oh, shit.
Not on stage, not in conversation, just a straight up like, oh yeah, something, just being back in New Orleans. Anyway.
I'm very excited to hear it.
Here we
My
go.
story is something I've alluded to, but never fully delved into the full story.
And now for the start whistle.
Okay.
Ring ding diddle little lady, oh, ring die diddly oh. I wondered if it's true that they don't wear beneath the kilt. Do you know that song?
No.
Have I sung that before?
I think you sung the beginning of it briefly, but not the second part about their kilts.
It's a song about. I just remember. I think these guys are in Houston now. Yeah, I think they are, but they were in New Orleans forever. Waltman Johnson, morning radio, and they used to play that song a lot. It's a song by a Scottish musician about a guy. Basically, the gist of the song is a young Scottish dude goes and gets fucking hammered at a pub, and then stumbles out into the woods off the side of the road to piss and passes out.
Oh, no.
And the next morning, 2 young lasses are walking down the road, and they're like, "Look, a Scottish lad asleep on the side of the road." So one of them's like, "I wonder if it's true that they don't wear beneath the kilt."
And that's the song?
No. Well, they lift up his
Kilt.
fucking kilt and see his big dong. And they're like, it's true. And then they're like, we got to let him know we looked. So one of them takes the blue ribbon from out of her hair and ties it around his dong.
That's
so he
even
knows
scarier.
that someone...
Like...
Right. And so the next morning... So like later that day when that dude finally wakes up hungover, he gets up and he stumbles in the woods to piss like he was gonna. And when he lifts it up and pulls out his dong, there's a blue ribbon tied around it.
Yeah.
And the end of the song is, "Lad, I don't know where you been, but I see you won first prize." It's one of those just like drunk, not Irish. I didn't mean Irish. I didn't mean to associate the Irish with the drunks, but you know, some stereotypes are true for a reason. Just saying that.
So it's like the Scottish version of
a
like
Scottish
a dirty
version.
Irish limerick.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's catchy. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and it was on the tip of my tongue. And being back here in New Orleans as we are currently, I was just reminded. I mean, you know, a lot of drinking here.
Yeah.
Lots of drink. But that's the thing I've always said about this city, though. Like, it's not like a Chicago, and I love Chicago, but in Chicago, people drink like Prohibition's going to kick back in the next day. Mm-hmm. They drink like they can see the ghost of Al Capone, and he's aiming a Tommy gun at them.
That's true.
They drink. I think I've said this before. They drink like it's the worst day or the best day of their life.
That's when I lived in Chicago for 2 years. That's how I drank.
Love it. Love Chicago. New Orleans, completely different style of drinking.
Yes.
Where everyone is, it's like nothing ever closes, so everyone's just mellow and buzzed the whole time.
It's like everyone is playing this game that I used to play called Tipsy All Day, where you were not allowed to get drunk. You were not allowed to be sober. You had to maintain slightly buzzed all day long.
Which, when you break it down, is impossible because the more booze you just pile on yourself, you're like, I've been tipsy since 5 p.m. You're like,
yes, it never
no,
really
you're
works.
Wasted. Yeah.
But it does force you to pace yourself for the majority of the day.
Also, this is a statistic, and I know the one complaint we've got about this podcast is not enough fact checking. Well, you know what? We treat it like life itself. And yes, currently you can just pull out your phone and check your facts. I've heard a lot of arguments for this that like the thing they say we always bitch about when it comes to millennials is how there's a conversation happening. And so when you get like, hey, I don't know if this is true or not, someone pulls out their phone.
I think this is just a thing you bitch about.
And everyone reads a little bit about it, and everyone leaves the conversation a little more informed on a matter. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but also at the same time, there is something to be said about just having a conversation and not knowing a fact, and then having to deduce and talk to people and like discuss, and maybe in some cases figure out on your own whether something's true based on knowledge you already have.
Yeah, I mean, as a millennial, I like being able to have knowledge at my fingertips, but I do find that I don't remember it as often because it's been so easily obtained.
No, you also have a bad sense of direction because you have Google Maps all your life.
I didn't, though. I used to have to print out the MapQuest directions.
Okay, but either way, you said to print it out. But yeah, whatever.
That being said,
there's pros and cons to both.
We are going to fact check at the end of our episodes in 2020.
Yes, we're adding a fact checker, but in this case, no fact checker. But this is just something I like to believe is true, that there are less drunk driving incidents in the city of New Orleans because the roads are so god awful.
I don't understand the logic in between.
The logic is that the roads, if you've ever been to or live in New Orleans, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and estimate 60% of the roads in the city are fucking
full of potholes.
There's just hellscapes for your suspension.
Yeah,
just
I love to bike everywhere in New York. Yeah. I started doing it in Chicago. I don't think I would do that here because it's impossible.
I feel like 60% of the roads in New Orleans are straight up like obstacle courses for your sedan, right? And this, yes, I'm going to confess, this is from experience, but anytime when I lived here full time, if I had a drink or two and gotten behind the wheel of the car, and yeah, I'm admitting it, I know, huge piece of shit, but I'm admitting it, I know that I drove 17 times more careful because A, I knew I had a couple of drinks, but B, because the roads were so god-awful. You didn't speed. You paid more attention to what you were, your hands were gripped to the steering wheel. And I still drive like that in the city. And I won't get anywhere near a car if I have a drink now, but like when I'm even, dead sober on a clear day at 2 p.m, you're still like, you have to pay attention to the roads here. And I feel like because of that, more and more people have probably gotten better at drunk driving in New Orleans than any other city, which is not something to brag about.
No, it
it's
isn't.
Simply just a
how you could have spun that as just, people from New Orleans are better drivers because there's lots of potholes everywhere.
Yeah,
and drunk doesn't have anything to do with it.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. But I guess I'm here.
Don't drink and drive, kids.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. But if you're gonna, if your dream is to be the best drunk driver in the world,
go to farmland where you can't hit anybody.
Do that. But if you can't go to a farmland because you're allergic to wheat and hay, and you hate animals,
no.
Learn. Well, yeah, no. You can't hate animals in New Orleans. There's too many. People, I feel like
both
there's
people and real
there's
animals.
A lot. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of dogs here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of dogs just chilling in this city.
Dogs.
But this is a special episode where we're gonna learn a little bit about each other.
Yeah. Do you want to do yours first?
Or do you want to do yours first?
I want you to do yours first.
You want me to do mine first?
Yeah, but that means that I have to tell your story for. Okay.
All right.
What are your 5 words?
I mean, that's not how we ask.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a story? But give me the 5 keywords.
All right. They are girlfriend, kegger, directions, accident. What was the 4th one?
Buzz.
Oh, fuzz, and thug. So I'll repeat those. They are girlfriend, kegger, directions, fuzz, and thug.
Great. Well, I'm going to say, because I know you so well,
Yeah.
and because last night we were in Lafayette, Louisiana,
Yeah.
and we met up with some of Sean's old high school classmates from Slidell High.
They were there.
Hey, Trish and Jacques.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that this story is about your first girlfriend, which is
Okay.
the first word, and the woman I met last night,
Okay.
Trish.
Okay.
So I'm going to say you were about 15 years old. You and Trish, admitted to having crushes on each other.
Okay.
But you know when you're 15 and you're my girlfriend, but you can't drive, so you can't go on a real date? So you guys find out about this kegger that's happening in the neighborhood. And you decide, because you can't drive there, that you're going to meet there. And the directions that she gives you are to meet in the front of the house at 8 p.m. so you guys can enter the party in together. And it'll be people will know that you're boyfriend and girlfriend. So you get there first and you're waiting for her to arrive. And the problem with this is that the party is one of those typical high school parties that you see in movies. Kids are spilling out onto the front lawn. Kids are throwing things in the house. The party is already so crowded and dysfunctional that you're not sure if she kind of already saw people coming into the party or got there before you or whatever. So you're just waiting. And you're looking around to see if she's there. And then you see her. And she's making out with this thug named Fuzz. And you're pissed off. And you know that he can beat you up, right? You know he's a big thug. But you're like, fuck it. This is my girl. This is my first girlfriend, Trish. And so you march up to her. And you tap her on the shoulder. And you're like, what the fuck? Making out with another dude. And then it turns around. It's not Trish. But now Fuzz is pissed off.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck are you? He's pissed at his girl.
Who's this dude?
Yeah, he's pissed at you.
Yeah.
So he gets really, really angry.
Yeah.
And he throws a big punch.
Huge haymaker.
Straight to your temple.
Damn.
And this commotion has gotten so loud that at this point, people are turning.
He hits you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And people are starting to turn around all around you and see what's going on. And one of those people is Trish,
Yeah.
who has just arrived. And
Right.
now, Fuzz has been you're trying to get with my girl, punches you. She sees that. So she now is also a part of the
Naturally.
misunderstanding, thinks that you've been hooking up with another girl. Big, big miscommunication. You chase after her. You leave Fuzz and the thug and the girl to deal with themselves. And you chase after Trish. And it just becomes this funny, funny story after you finally explain to her what actually happened. That was your first date, also the first time you got punched in the face, and your first girlfriend, Trish.
I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Did I nail it?
no. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Of someone mistaken identity, miscommunication, but then learning about one another, realizing you're both human, mistakes are made all the time, and deciding to still be together.
I could see it being a real scene in one of those old high school movies.
That is a good scene from a high school
Well,
movie.
thank you.
But not the
correct.
story.
What is the real story?
So, in the year 2004, I was dating someone. I won't say her name, but I was going to, but I'm not going to. So her name was
Not Trish, though.
No, not
who I met last
This
night.
was in 2004. I was well out of high school. It was specifically my 20s. I was turning 26. I was dating. We're not going to say her real name. Her name was Camellia.
Camellia,
right?
okay.
Right, that's not her real name. And so it was one of those situations, and I think
Wait, how old were you?
I was 26. She was a senior in college.
So 22.
22.
Okay, yeah.
I won't even say the school she went to. Tulane. She went to Tulane.
Okay.
Or the school right next door to it, if you know it. But anyway,
So Camellia, what's
university.
Tulane?
Anyway, so Camellia from Tulane. So I think everyone's had this situation where like you're dating someone, and I've been on both sides of this. One person is way more into the other, right?
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of this. In this specific scenario, I was the person who was not as into her
Okay.
as she was into me, because at this point we'd probably only been dating for like a month, but like every few days she would ask, she's like, "Am I your girlfriend yet?"
Oh,
And
weird.
my answer was always like, no, I'm not ready for that sort. No, I just because I wasn't. I
Yeah,
wasn't
you
in
weren't
that
ready.
my
But every
mindset.
few days, she would then
Maybe
re-ask?
not every 2 days, maybe once a week. She'd asked a small handful of times at this
Okay,
point.
so she wanted to define the relationship.
She wanted
and you
it
were
to be like a
no, no.
relationship.
Yeah,
more.
you're
And
right.
I was more like no. So it was one of these birthday parties where it was myself and two other comedians. I don't think they give a shit if I say their name. Actually, three other comedians: Neil Stastny, Seth Cockfield, Dane Fauché. All three of us, our birthdays were in like the same chunk of November. So Seth had a party at his apartment, uptown New Orleans,
Yep.
for all of us, like a birthday party. I kept referring to it as a kegger. And the reason is because keggers, party and kegger have two different connotations.
Yeah.
A party could be anything. A kegger is a specific thing. It's music's loud. There's people doing keg stands, pumping beer from a
Yes.
kegger, chugging beer, getting loud, burping, fighting. A party could be dinner party. Could be a black and white party where everyone's dressed in a tuxedo. Could be a silent party where everyone's just miming to one another.
Murder mystery party.
But mystery party, but a kegger is a specific thing.
Yeah.
It was not a kegger.
Oh, okay. It
was not at all.
It was ironically you were calling
I
it a
just
kegger.
kept calling it
Yeah.
a kegger, and I kept inviting people to the kegger because I thought that was hilarious. And I kept saying, "There ain't no keg at this kegger," which is fucking hilarious to me, and only me, obviously.
Yeah.
Because if there's no keg,
It's not a kegger.
you can't call it at the kegger.
Yeah.
Like it just makes no it's so stupid.
When you said a kegger is like music loud, I was like, I don't know that that's the right connotation, but a kegger is definitely, there's a keg,
Yeah,
there are
there
red
has
solo
to be-
cups,
right.
and people are doing keg stands.
Right. There has to be a keg to call it a kegger.
Yes.
So for me, saying there's no keg at this kegger was my ongoing joke all night that only I
it.
found hilarious.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like it's like going into like a vegan cafe and being like, "There ain't no fried chicken at this Popeyes." It's like, no, because it's
Right.
not Popeyes because
Yeah.
there's no chicken.
Yes.
It's just fucking so stupid. Watching Netflix with your friends, watching a movie on Netflix and being like, "When are they going to play the porno at this porno theater?" You're like, "Well, we're not at a porno. What are you talking about?"
I get
it's
it.
dumb. I know.
yeah.
It's a dumb joke.
I get it. I just don't think
thing.
it's funny.
Exactly. I found it hilarious.
Yeah.
I kept saying kegger. Now, I give exceptional directions.
Yes.
This is a fact about me. It's one of the few facts I will stand by proudly. Like, go back to my origin days of me, of the first ever times I had to give directions. I give, without a doubt, the best fucking directions on earth, right?
Yes.
This was in the year 2004. Nobody had smartphones yet.
Right.
At least not in New Orleans, Louisiana. Everybody had flip phones. So, Camellia, the girl I was dating at the time, and like a few of her friends, her college friends from Tulane, they were coming to the party.
Yeah.
I gave them, I'm talking, one of my most proudest works of directions. To the T.
Yeah.
I gave them shortcut specifics. I gave them options if they wanted to take them, but explained out each one. This was all in the email form,
Yeah.
of course. Great fucking directions. And I even texted
Yeah.
like an abridged version to her, right? They didn't read the directions correctly.
Got it.
So about, the kegger's raging, even though
Yes.
there's no keg and there's no raging. Everyone's just quietly sipping PBR because it was it was more of like a hip, like uptown New Orleans
Party?
party. And
Yeah.
it was in the neighborhood that now you would call Leonidas. At the time, we just called that Carrollton, like uptown Carrollton. But that neighborhood, if you know what I'm talking about, bleeds into a neighborhood called Hollygrove, which, if you are a New Orleans hip-hop connoisseur, you know it because the scenes of many a shootings are vividly, verbally painted on many a albums of the Hollygrove neighborhood by quite a few prominent New Orleans hip-hop artists. Anyway, so Camelia calls me and she's like, hey, we just got into an accident, and here's where we are. And she tells me the street corner, and like I just kind of knew the neighborhood. I'm like, oh damn, you're in Hollygrove. You missed this party by 6 or 7 blocks.
Can I tell you something?
What?
You have told me this story before.
Have I?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't remember like but that just reminded me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So myself and my very good friend Dane Fauché, we don't want to make a big deal about it. We don't want to ruin the kegger. We don't, because she was like, oh yeah, because Camille's on the phone being like, and also there's all these guys now standing around the car. They won't let us drive away because it's one of their cars. And in my head, I was like, well, you should call the cops though. You can't just drive away after you got in an accident. But she's like, I don't know, we're really fucking scared. I was like, oh shit. So Dane and I walk down there, okay? And we're walking up on them, and there they are. It's her and her 3 friends standing outside her like SUV, and another car that had rear-ended her.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't their fault necessarily.
Well, later we'll get to that. Okay. So, but they're just there, right?
Yeah.
So we're walking up, and before I even get to her, this dude, this like thug, this fucking thugged out dude rolls up on me, and he's like, hey man, let me holler. Come here, let me holler at you. And I like just kind of step aside with him, and Dane just walks over to the girls.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's your old lady? It's a very Southern thing.
I know. I find that expression so funny because that means mom to me.
Means mom in some means mom in some places. Yeah. He's like, that's your old lady? And I just kind of nod my head, and he goes, look, man, I ain't, the Fuzz, they on their way. Now, Fuzz, I had never, ever heard anyone honestly use the phrase fuzz in real life before.
Oh, when you give me those words, I was like, ooh, I wonder if this is police.
It is.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I never actually heard it called fuzz. 5-0, pigs, cops, all the slang, all the derogatory thing. But fuzz, I only knew from the book The Outsiders.
I only know it from Hot Fuzz.
Well, but Hot Fuzz is
way later.
This is 5 years. Yeah. 5 years before Hot Fuzz came out.
But like, that's the only reason I know that.
Exactly. The only time I had ever heard fuzz, I never actually heard it, or I heard it in jest, but like I read it in the book Outsiders. They refer to the cops as the fuzz the whole time. So when he says fuzz, I like chuckle a little bit. Oh, no. And he's like, oh, you think that's funny, bro? You think that's funny, bro? And he pulls out what I have never seen this before. And I've never seen it since, but it was like a dime bag of weed, which is like in a corner of a larger plastic bag that had been torn off and turned into a dime bag. And the same thing, but with cocaine. So maybe like 2, because it was a little smaller, but like 2 grams maybe.
Yeah.
Both tied off and tied together.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So where it looked like a set of testicles where one was like enlarged.
Yeah.
Right? It was a larger thing of weed, a dime bag of weed, and maybe a gram or 2 of coke, but tied together.
Yeah.
Tied together. And he's like, yo, man, this fell out your old lady's ride. As soon as she got out, this fell out, man. When the fuzz roll up, I'm going to have to say something. This is my neighborhood. I can't have this shit coming through here.
Shit.
And I was immediately like, I know you're lying.
Yeah.
Because I know she never smoked weed.
Yeah.
And the idea of her doing cocaine was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I know this is like extortion.
Right.
Right. But I also know where I am, and I also understand.
Yeah.
And I immediately launch into this like, hey, man. Hey, why you trying to come at me like that? Like I'm fucking I'm talking like a thug.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to be, which this is like a sin that all white people commit when they're around too many black people. But I was doing it in this moment of like what I felt was self-preservation. I was like, yo, man, why you trying to come at me like I'm a white dude? Now, and I did that. I said those words in 2004, pre-woke.
Yeah.
Pre-woke movement, pre-this now thing 15 plus years later, where you've got white people trying to actively pretend like they're not white.
Right.
Trying to be like, no, I'm 1/10 Egyptian. Or finding out, I'm not really white. Like, my mom's got some Eastern Ukrainian in her, and like, that, you're still white.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm Greek. You're white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but this was back then. I said it in a moment just to maybe, because you can look at me, especially when I was younger and I got tan really. You can look at me and be like, maybe this dude's a fucking dirty mutt. Who knows? I'm like, why are you trying to come at me like I'm a white dude, man?
Are any of the pictures that you showed me, like old pictures, like, can we post those on Instagram so people know that you looked?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So I'm now trying to talk to this dude like I am on his level,
Right.
which I am not.
Yes.
And I'm fucking terrified. But I'm like, why are you trying to come at me like I'm a white dude? And he does that thing. He's like, man, as soon as they roll up, I'm saying something. And I was like, hold up. And I walk over, and now I've got to commit to this.
Right.
And I walk over, I'm like, hey, to Camellia. I'm like,
Yeah.
you rolling around here with weed and fucking coke in your car and shit? And all of her friends are looking at me now like, why are you talking like that? And Dane, I remember, was laughing.
Right.
Dane was like giggling at me, but it was like I had to commit it to this
Right.
character. And like, this guy's saying you had weed and coke in your car? You drive around the city with that shit? What the fuck is wrong? She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I knew. I was like, I'm just trying to check with you. I'm hollering at you,
Yeah.
Be cool. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh
but I've
my
committed to this
God.
fucking, it's awful. And then I go back to the guy, and basically I do what he wants me to do. Where I'm like, let's tell you what, man. Let me just take that off your hands right now. And I remember I reached into my pocket.
Yeah.
And I pulled out $60, which and I just gave that to him.
Damn.
Which was more than he was going to ask for.
Yeah.
For a dime bag and a gram of coke, probably 25, maybe 30. But I give him the 60. He fucking takes it, gives me this thing.
Yeah.
Right? This swollen ball sack of. Which, by the way, I remember looking at it and being like, damn, this is actually kind of genius as far as like combinations are concerned. Like if this were like a drug combo, like you got a dime bag of weed, you smoke, you snort the coke, you get crazy, you party, and you got the weed to smoke later to bring you down.
Yeah.
It's like if there was like a drug drive-by menu or drive-through
if you've done
menu.
the coke all night and then you have that like depletion of serotonin the next day. It's just like smoke a little weed, feel a little happier and calmer.
That is a way more scientific
Well, actually,
breakdown.
when you first said it as a combo, I was like, oh, I'd smoke the weed first, and then when I was 2 in the couch, do a little toot.
I would do it. Actually, well, we'll get to this in a second. But we fucking, I buy it from him.
Yeah.
Which is what he wants. And we like dap off. He's like, all right. And then him and like his whole, like all of his people like just leave. Right. And I remember being like, damn, that's like $60. That was my like,
Yeah.
that was my like weekend money back then. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is what I'm going to hang out this weekend with. But now I had weed and coke and there was still a kegger raging. But anyway, and the person who rear-ended her was like this unaffiliated woman who was just sitting in her car the whole time, just didn't even get out of the car. But cops,
What?
well, she just was waiting for the cops. They had called the cops.
Okay.
So the cops finally get there, do the fucking, all the bullshit, the accident report. And both cars are still drivable. They drive away. And the night continues as planned.
Yeah.
We all get to the kegger. We all tell the story. It's crazy. And now I've got some fucking party supplies. And what we did was we took the dime bag. We rolled 2 huge joints. We smoked. We all like 5 or 6 of us smoked 1 joint. And then me and like 2 people did all the coke.
Yeah.
And then later we smoked the other joint. So we split it.
Oh,
That's what we ended up doing.
Okay.
But it made the party way more fun. And the kegger raged on, even though the keg was never there.
Damn.
But here we go. This is
okay.
So her and I's relationship was never going to go anywhere. But basically, like, she lied to her parents about where the accident happened. Okay, because she didn't want them to know. She wasn't supposed to drive the car like that far off campus or something. I don't remember the specifics, but all I remember was that she lied to her parents about where it happened. She said it happened on campus.
Yeah.
And of course, the fucking accident report and police report, like, why were you?
Yeah.
You said this wasn't campus. This is 2 miles from campus or whatever it was. And she then doubled down on her lie.
Oh no.
And said she was horrified because when the car got hit, the people she was in the car with, her 2 friends, had to like ditch drugs. And then it was something crazy.
Yeah.
And then she said, and it was also my fault because I gave her bad directions.
Oh.
And I remember when she told me that part, I was like, this is the part I can't. Throwing your friends under the bus is a pretty shitty move, but I don't give bad directions.
Of course, that's the part
I
that
give
you would be upset
legit,
with. Yeah.
like fucking like bronze my directions. They're perfect. And that was the fray that undid our relationship.
That's so funny.
And it was ridiculous because like I just remember the last time her and I ever talked. And she's a very cool person. I know, and I'm not sure what she does now, and I hope she lives a great life. But I remember like one of the last times we talked on the phone, she was at her apartment waiting for me to call her to tell her where I was going to be so she could come meet up. Mm-hmm. And I remember part of me thinking I should call her and tell her where I was, but give her like on purpose shitty directions.
No, that goes against all of your integrity.
But I didn't do it. We just I just didn't call her back. But like, yeah, that happened in 2004.
That's a fucking crazy story. And you had told me it before, but not as in depth. So
Yeah.
I didn't know about all the like you like thugging it out.
I mean, like, and I fucking legit make fun of white people for doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Because I know dudes like that coming up who like would just like this, but the moment a black guy was around,
Yeah, no, I know.
Even if that black dude was like British,
Yeah.
and they'd never heard him speak, they still be like, "Yo, what's up, Wody?
Yeah.
What's up, man? Yeah, you chilling? You chilling? I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Like, but I was full on doing it in that moment, just trying to be like, "Hey, man, you and I are the same person."
Yep.
Which is, I hope that guy took that $60 and bought a ticket out of Hollygrove.
What a weird, like, first
But
of
you
all,
could
what?
just walk out of the Hollygrove. So I hope he spent it on something better.
Yes.
And then they just walk out, just leave.
But also the fact that it was just a random accident. I thought that it was like one of his buddies rear-ended her on purpose to then get it like to sell.
I mean, that is a long con.
I know that it's a long con, but the fact that he showed up to the scene and then was like gonna like basically extort her.
I mean,
That seems more random to me.
My take on it was that he was just like, it was like he was just in the neighborhood, saw the accident happen, saw that it was 3 fucking 22-year-old girls, and were like, oh, they called someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can. And then he saw me and was like, of course I can get money out of that fucking cheese wheel.
Interesting.
So
Cheese wheel.
Yeah, that was a crazy 2004.
Damn.
And then a year later, Katrina hit and wiped away all that
Crazy.
sadness.
Wait, before we continue, can you go turn the light on? I don't know where the light switch is, but it's real dark.
No, we got to do it in the darkness.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. All right.
So, Caitlin,
Yes.
will you tell me a story, but only in 5 words?
Yes. I need to look up what my words were. Okay. Road trip,
Right?
Siri,
Yep.
family,
Yeah,
fight,
of course.
waffles.
Okay. Road trip, Siri, family, fight, waffles. Now, I'm going to peg this story as happening around 2000, 2001, because summer of 2000, which is when the film hit comedy Road Trip hit theaters, right? Starring, Tom Green's in that, Breckin Meyer. Who else you got? Todd Berry is in that.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what he. I think he
Sacha
plays.
Baron Cohen's in that movie.
Is he?
Wait. Maybe no. Sorry, I was thinking of Euro Trip.
Right. But that's part of the story, right? So, you love that movie. Everyone knows you were 10 years old when it came out, right?
Yeah.
You love that movie, and so you go to your parents, being like, "Mom, Dad, I want to go on a road trip as a family." Right? That was the family part right there. And your parents were both very like, "Fine, whatever, fine." And you and your brother Travis were like, "Yay, excited to be on this road trip." And like, "Can we do it just like the movie? Can we drive to Ithaca College? Can we do it can we get a short bus along the way? Can we go to a black fraternity party and hang out? Can we, can I meet a boy that," and that's when Travis was like, "Hold on, I want to meet a girl," because he's also at that point only 11, like because he loved the movie too. We all know you and your brother love Road Trip, and your parents are being very just like, "Sure, fine, whatever," which is weird. And so 5 or 6 hours later, you're just in the car driving now in silence because it's gotten weird. Your parents are just, something's up between them.
Yeah.
So then it comes out that the night before, your dad called your mom Siri in bed, right? Which, hey, many lovers have made that mistake, and you're a California-based family, so you're a little open about it. Your mom was like, "You want to know what's wrong, kids? You want to know why this road trip is going so poorly? Because your father called me the name," and he's trying to he's big, "Babe, stop, listen, it was a mistake. He's like, your father called me Siri." And you and your brother like, "What the shit? Who? What?" And then your dad's got to pull over because now your mom's just at a full rage. He's like, "Siri was your father's first wife.
What?
who left him.
What?
And when I met him, he was a shell of a man, and I nursed him back to flourish and be the full-fledged, responsible adult and loving father that he is now. And he called me the name of this harlot who left him at the altar, which happened to your dad, Sherry, his first wife. She wasn't technically his wife because she never showed up at the... And your dad's trying to defend himself, but your mom's just not fucking having it.
Right.
She's just not fucking having it. And you and your brother are like, oh, God, this is a different version of a road trip. And so finally your dad's like, God damn it, woman. I told you it was a mistake. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the fucking car. Let's settle this like Texans, because your dad's from Texas, right? And your mom's like, don't fucking talk no shit. If you don't want no shit, your dad's like, fuck you. So your parents get out of the car right there on the side of the 5. I remember I'm besting it with the 5. It was on the 5 highway, because that's California. It's a popular highway. And right there on the side of the road, fist fight.
What?
Your mom and dad, going at it. And at first you're like, wait, this can't be fair. Isn't this domestic abuse? But then your mom's winning the fight. Your mom's straight up kicking your dad's ass. Because let's just face it, your dad's, bigger guy in stature, but your mom's in shape.
Yeah.
Your mom, and she also trains in Krav Maga, which you guys didn't learn until that moment. She actually helped usher in Krav Maga into America from her Israeli relatives, but that's a different story. So your mom just straight up fucks your dad up on side the road, right? Like she's standing over him, breathing heavy. He's completely unconscious, bloodied and beaten. You and Travis are crying, and your mom just snaps out of the rage and realizes, holy shit. Oh, what have I done? And she drags him into the passenger seat, and she gets in the fucking driver's seat and starts driving. And now you and Travis are like, we don't want to go on a road trip anymore. Oh, no. But your mom's like, shut the fuck up. We're on the road trip. Listen, kids, I got an idea, right? And so you drive for a little bit longer. And you pull over into an IHOP, right? And then your mom just goes, follow my lead. And she turns the car off, opens it, the door, then slams it hard enough to wake your dad up. And your dad's beaten and bruised and bloodied. And it was just like, what the hell's... And right away your mom's like, oh, Tom, oh God, you're okay? And he's like, oh, what? And he notices he's bleeding, he's roughed up. He's like, what the hell happened? He doesn't remember any of it. She's like, we just stopped here to have some breakfast, and you ordered a waffle, and they said, this is the International House of Pancakes. We ain't got no waffles, sir. And you said, no, you know how you get, Tom. You said no need for the attitude, and then you guys fought it out. You should see him. He looks like a waffle. And then Tom laughed at that. He's like, I bet I put a couple dents in him. And your mom laughed, and then your kids like, and y'all laughed, and then kept driving till you found a Waffle House and had a family waffle.
Wow. I think I would be... I mean, my childhood wasn't the most perfect, but I think I'd be a lot more fucked up if that shit happened.
Your mom is beating the shit out of your dad on the side of the 5?
And then me and my brother witnessed it at age 10 and 12.
Yeah, all because you like the film Road Trip.
Yeah.
That's not what happened, though?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, what really happened?
Well, first of all, never seen the movie Road Trip. Now that you described little bits and pieces
Classic.
of it, I have seen Euro Trip, and I love Matt Damon's cameo. He is the lead singer in the band that sings the Scotty Doesn't Know song.
That's like being like, I have never seen Bruce Almighty, but I love Evan Almighty. Which I guess isn't that big of a deal.
No.
It's like, yeah, sure, yeah. They're both kind of the same movie.
Yes. Okay, so basically, my family went on a road trip.
Okay.
My mom, my dad, and my brother, Travis. I was 22. He was 24, so 2012.
Okay.
And we were going from Los Angeles to the Bay Area. And what you need to know about my dad's car is that the CD player was not working. And so we were listening to like dumb radio kind of the whole time.
Okay.
And then at some point we were going through more of the hilly area in like mid-California, and the radio stopped connecting. And what you need to know about my mother, which is something that you already do, is that she does not like silence and will break any silence by asking lots and lots of questions.
Can't stand silence.
Doesn't like silence.
Makes me think she was locked in a soundproof room as a child and forced to wear noise canceling headphones until the sun came up.
Not that she talks incessantly. It's just like it's not a comfortable silence of family hanging out together. It's like always conversation. And my mom likes to ask questions that makes me feel like on a day where we're having a good relationship, it makes me feel like she thinks I am as smart as Google. And on a bad day, it is very annoying. Like you're good at doing this example. Like pretend to be my mom. Asking a lot of questions.
You want to record this part?
I don't think that she knows what a podcast is. And if you do, Mom, I love you very much, but you do this.
So what is your podcast for free or?
Anyone can download it.
What now? If you download it though, is that the same as listening, or is when you download something, can you listen to it as you're downloading it, or later after you've already downloaded it?
Both.
So which one do you tell people to do if they've never heard your podcast before?
I don't really tell people to do any. I just tell them to go to where they listen to podcasts.
Well, then what if they would go and listen to other podcasts and just never hear yours? Yeah, wouldn't you feel?
This is exactly what she does. But sometimes it's just a question that's like, why do you think ducks are yellow? Like, it's a question that I just, I'm really flummoxed by, and I don't know why she thinks that I know the answer. And maybe she's just trying to fill the silence, right? I'm not sure. But anyway.
So do you think feathers, would you want, if you had feathers, what kind would you want?
Yes, it's a lot of
what kind of feathers? There's more than one?
It's always it just really throws me for a loop. But, my best friend once told me that the way I talk about my mother makes me come across like a cunt. So if you're listening to this and you think I come across like a cunt, I am a cunt.
I think your mom's just being philosophical. Like, why do you think ducks are yellow? That question, I mean, come on. That's basically asking why is anything, and that if that doesn't take you on a philosophical
it will take you on a journey, yes,
then you ain't got no brain.
Yes.
So your mom's just challenging people. I appreciate that about your mom.
And at the moment of the story, I did too. Like, I was in a good mood. Our relationship was good. And so I was kind of answering these questions. The problem was that my brother was in a bad mood and he was getting snappy. And my mom is very sensitive, and I could sense that the tension was brewing and it was going to explode into some kind of fight, which, we're all four of us trapped in a small car where there's no radio and no CDs. So I was trying to circumvent any fight that could happen, that could blow up. Right. So I don't remember why I specifically looked this up, but I think my mom had just figured out how Siri worked and was very excited by Siri and would ask her questions. I think that must be why, because what I did to stop this fight from breaking out is I looked up the website shitsirisays.com and handed my mom the listicle that's kind of on that website. And it's just funny questions that you can sort of trigger Siri to say some funny response. And I thought, cool, fight over, tension broken, it's going to be fine. My mom is looking at this and we can all actually have some comfortable silence. And then what I didn't realize is that on that list, someone had asked Siri where the nearest glory hole was. Naturally. And Siri responded with whatever the nearest bathroom was. But my mother, so we're all sitting in comfortable silence, and my little Jewish 5'1" mother says, "What's a glory hole?" And we all burst out laughing. And I thought, magical, tension broken even further. But we're laughing, and what I forgot is that if my mom feels like she is left out of the joke, she assumes that the joke is about her and that we're making fun of her. So she keeps asking what a glory hole is, and we're laughing.
By the way, I think you could even ask that at a gay bar or at a truck stop in front of a glory hole, and it's still funny.
It's a funny question.
What's a glory hole?
It doesn't even really matter that it was her asking. It was just a funny question.
If you were getting your dong slonged, if you were getting your dong slurped at a glory hole and went, yeah, so what's a glory hole? The person giving you giving you a fucking dong squeegee would have to stop to laugh? It's a funny question.
It is a funny question. So she keeps asking it and we're laughing even harder. And then she starts to like kind of tear up because no one is answering her. And she's like, what is it? Like, why won't just anyone tell me? And she starts to think that we're all making fun of her by laughing. And even after my father says, I'll tell you about it later. And we're like, oh, thanks, Dad. Like, we don't have to answer this question in the car. She is now like full temper tantrum level. And I think she like almost like grabs the wheel at some point, or my dad is just like, I can't deal with this. But he basically is just like, fuck this. And he pulls into the nearest parking lot, which happens to be an IHOP parking lot. So you got that bit right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got one. And there's a fight, obviously.
Well, yes, the fight, but that was one of my words. You completely got IHOP though from waffles.
Sweet.
But basically, so my dad pulls into the IHOP parking lot, parks the car, says, this is ridiculous. I'm getting waffles. And he slams the door to the car and stomps and goes into the IHOP. My mother then slams the door to the car and goes to the opposite side of the parking lot, sits on the curb and starts like full on bawling. My brother then gets out of the car, slams the door and goes, fucking glory holes, scaring this like tiny group of teenagers that are like also in the parking lot, which I find hilarious.
Like if they knew what a glory hole was, they'd be like, don't go to that one.
Exactly.
It must be a fucking Labrador or like a Rottweiler on the other
hearing
end.
like that story from their perspective must have been very odd.
Yeah.
Like a woman crying, a teenage or a 20-something man, I guess, saying, fucking glory holes after his father has just been like, this is ridiculous. I'm getting waffles. But anyway, so my brother follows.
It's like, did that dad just come out to his son?
Yes.
And tell
Who
him what
knows?
his favorite hobby was?
I would love to hear this story from their perspective. But basically, so my brother follows my dad into the IHOP. And then I'm sitting in the car and I have to figure out what to do. Because my choices are either go comfort my mom.
Right.
Tell her what a glory hole is.
Right.
And that conversation I pictured as like, that is the reverse of the sex talk that your parents give you. Is like, I have to be like, when two people don't love or know each other very well at all, but they're horny and they're strangers, and one of them carves a hole into a bathroom and sticks his schlong through it, or finds a hole that's already been carved because someone else did that, and then the other one sucks that motherfucker off. And then,
but then knowing your mom, she'd be like, well, but how do they know someone was in the stall? Is it the...
Yes,
do you put your penis in
there
and
would
wait
be so many questions
for someone to sit in the stall and hope they like penises? Or do you sit in the stall and wait and hope someone sees the glory hole and happens to be horny and puts their weenie in the stall?
Exactly.
And then do you meet afterwards? Do you exchange
all very
information?
Important questions. All very important questions. And so I have to figure out if I'm going to do that or I'm going to abandon my mother who's sobbing in a parking lot because no one will tell her what a glory hole is,
right,
and go just meet my other family members and go get waffles. So I decide I'm going to be a good daughter and I'm going to go comfort my mom and have that awkward conversation, which I do. And she like tearfully laughs when she finds out what it is. And
you told her?
I told her. And I walked.
Do you remember how you said it?
I think I was just like, Mom, no one was laughing at you. We are laughing about what a glory hole is. And I don't want to tell you this because I'm your daughter, but I will tell you because you're crying and I'm your daughter. A glory hole is when a man sticks his dick through a hole in a bathroom and a stranger gives him a blowjob, and the hole is the glory hole part.
Also known as a mystery straw. Also known as a semen geyser.
Yes.
A stranger semen geyser. Mm-hmm. Also known as a jack off in a box.
Oh, I like that
or
one.
An evil jack in the box.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so I had the conversation, and she like kind of like tearfully laughs, and I walk her into the IHOP where my brother and my dad are eating, not talking. They have a big stack of waffles on the table, and they're just eating their waffles. And we sit down, and my mother doesn't really say anything. We're all sort of just like clanking, eating waffles quietly for once. And she's like sniffing every once in a while. And then she goes, but who do you think invented the waffle?
That's a good question, though. The Belgians. But
yes.
That's fucking great.
That's the story.
It's great. I thought you were gonna say she walked to the bathroom and then came back out with like a
and found glory hole
with
in
like
the
a
IHOP
truck
bathroom.
driver. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, Tom, kids, this is Philip, and I just sucked him off in a glory hole. You should have told me what it was. I thought. I love the idea that your dad and your brother are just sitting there like commiserating, like, someone's got to tell mom about glory holes.
Yep.
And you're like, did it, guys.
Yep.
Fucking did it. She took it well. We're going to start a few.
Yep.
Because that's what I also love is that someone asks Siri where the nearest glory hole is, like they're registered.
Yeah.
Like
I
someone's
mean,
putting like Yelp reviews
it
for
was
glory
obviously
holes.
just someone.
Is there Yelp reviews for glory holes, you think?
Oh my God. Great album title, though. Yelp reviews for glory holes.
There it is. Or just great actual fucking Yelp page.
I mean, I would check it out.
It's like, clearly whoever cut this glory hole didn't have the steadiest hand and there's sharper edges, so if you have a thicker penis, I would not recommend.
Oh man, I love that
Or like,
idea.
love this glory hole.
No,
Go
but it's
every
too,
time.
It's too low to the ground,
Yeah.
and it's an awkward twerk that you have to.
Yeah, exactly. This one was clearly meant for men over 6'3", because I have to bring an apple box with me every time I go.
Yes.
So they should supply these apple boxes so people don't ask why I'm walking into a truck stop bathroom with one.
Exactly.
Why I'm walking into a truck stop bathroom with an old IBM computer because I need to stand on it.
Oh, an Apple box.
Those are two different things. But
Yeah.
I think it would be something about the idea of a guy so desperate for a blowjob
He's willing to
that
bring
he walks,
a little like.
that he brings like an old IBM computer to stand on because he's too short to reach the glory hole comfortably.
I love
with his
it.
dong.
I want to draw that.
Oh, that's sad. There's something kind of sad but romantic about that too.
Well, I mean, I just have to say, if any of my family members or anyone that knows my parents have figured out how to listen to this podcast and you've gotten to this point, I love you and I'm not judging you. And please don't cry and then go to a parking lot and have a tantrum.
I don't, because look, also waffles are a metaphorical. To me, a metaphorical, not metaphorical, a philosophical thing, because I think there are waffle people and there are pancake people in the world.
This is true. I'm a
Pancake
waffle
peop-
person.
Yeah, I'm a waffle person as well.
Yeah.
Pancake people expect life to be just even and smooth,
But then it ends up being just too dense.
then it just gets kind of soggy and
Yeah.
boring. Whereas waffle people get that there's ups and downs.
There is ups and downs.
There's ups and downs, but you just
And,
ride with it and
you know,
enjoy the crunch.
And sometimes when
crunch
you've
of
been
life.
trying to break attention to a family fight,
Yeah.
and you can't, and it explodes, sometimes a waffle will do it for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, if you let both dry overnight, sit out overnight, pancakes just kind of going to be still a pancake.
Yeah.
Waffle you could use as a legit weapon
Oh,
to defend yourself. Just
this is
throwing
true.
that out
This
there.
is true. They do harden. So this has been our wrap-up episode. I want to just quickly talk about the podcast so far, because this is our 34th episode, and I feel like it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed every episode, but I feel like we also really have found more of a rhythm and a pace lately, especially since, I don't know, I think it takes a while for a podcast to really find its groove. And I feel like we're getting there, which is exciting.
This podcast is a waffle.
It is a waffle.
That's I think the point of this wrap-up episode is 2019 was a waffle.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you know what? Waffles are delicious. You just got to trust that you can handle it.
That's very true.
You know? And will 2020 be a waffle? Yes, but 2019 was an Eggo waffle. It just kind of
Yes.
came out of the package. You had accepted
You
as
know
it
what?
is.
I would like 2020 to be the kind of waffle that I would make as a child and a teenager. I used to make banana, cinnamon, almond waffles in our waffle iron, and they were amazing.
Right. I think this 2020, let's make it like a Waffle House waffle or a waffle you make on your own waffle iron.
Yeah, with real
or
syrup.
If you travel a lot, the waffle you make at the Continental Breakfast Plus, where it's in the little waffle iron.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Those are great.
Yeah.
So let's make it a great waffle, not just a frozen. 2020 was a good waffle, but it was a frozen waffle.
You mean
2019 was a frozen waffle. 2020 will be a homemade waffle.
Hell yes.
Far more delicious and better. And hey, Happy New Year to everyone.
And I just want to say, if you have been listening since the beginning, or you're just joining in now, we really appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming to shows or adding us on Instagram or leaving us reviews or just telling your friends about the podcast. Like, this could just really be a thing. We really enjoy doing it, and we want to keep it going. So,
and I'm just going to throw this out there, but I'm not going to tell you specifics yet. Just keep your eyes peeled for live 5 words performances. Just saying. Just there's the seed is planted.
Cool. Happy New Year, everybody.
That was wind.
Oh, also, we're doing this episode like the Monday night, knowing it's going to be released on a Tuesday, which means I'm not going to have time to do a song. So can we just make up one right now?
All right, here we go. And sometimes you're going to buy weed and cocaine to protect a person that doesn't really get you, and you're going to dump. But then you could just find yourself a glory hole, figure out what it is, and then have breakfast with your family. And that is life.
Yeah.
I decided to go. Yeah, that was like if a country singer and an R&B singer.
I loved that so much because I've written every song at the end of every podcast, except for that one. I think it was after Langston's episode where you were just like beep 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 da da at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I turned it into a song. But that was beautiful. I loved that I snapped for you and you didn't stay to the rhythm whatsoever. But the message was there.
It's all there.
So enjoy your waffles, everybody. And,
yeehaw!
Yeehaw. Bye-bye.